Yo, it's Derek and Taylor. We're back. A day late, but we're here. It happens that way. Taylor, how you doing? Are you feeling a little better? A little less under the weather? You doing good?
A little
Got your
less under the weather, yeah.
yeah. If it looks like he's tired, he is. We'll just roll
Yeah.
with that.
It's an endless cycle of kid sick, parent sick, kid sick, parent sick.
That's kind of that's children for us.
Yeah.
Welcome to episode 38. Um, I'm still in the process of finishing dinner, but I don't care. You know why? Because there's playoff football afoot. Not a football, but a foot. Only a foot. Unless it's the ball of your foot, then it might be a football. Anyway, we'll start off with it's a shorter, again, another shorter nine, a little bit more coaching news, but I think that's good. That's always good news. Taylor, run us down some coaching stuff. I'm going to take another bite of food.
Sure thing. Yeah. Some coaching and some relevant player info. So Carolina hires Frank Reich as the new head coach. Um, I don't want to speculate, but I don't know, it did seem like his previous job went so well, so we'll have to see how that goes for Carolina. Granted, I don't know how much that was on him, but yeah, I don't know. All the best to Carolina. They seem to figure some things out at the end of the season, so we'll see how it goes. Cincinnati, Hayden Hurst with a calf injury was limited Thursday. Dallas, Dan Quinn has notified the team he will return as their defensive coordinator, so that's good news. I mean, he was
And you took my job.
their defense was phenomenal all year, pretty much. Even into the playoffs, they played very well. Um,
Look at the teams that he had offering him jobs, though. I was
yeah,
literally like, do you want to deal with that mess in Denver or whatever happened with Kyler in Call of Duty
mm,
or the Colts? I was like, yeah,
right,
you should stay in Dallas.
yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Um,
Man,
Kansas City, Mecole Hardman with his pelvis injury, still limited, listed as questionable. Patrick Mahomes not on the injury report. That's not to say that I think his ankle is fully healed, but he was a full participant and did not show up on the injury report. So good news. I believe the quotes were he is on track to play. So New England hired Bill O'Brien as the offensive coordinator slash QB coach.
What? They took his job.
So kind of a reuniting there, which I think should go very well. But I mean, I don't think there's a but. I think it should go very well. He got to know Mac Jones at Alabama as well, so a lot of good connections there on all sides. So I think that should be very good for New England and Mac Jones next year. If I know a lot of people are focusing on how he played this season, but think back to his rookie season, and I think he- I don't know that he'll have a career like Brady did, but I think he's pretty talented. Um, New York Jets, they hired Nathaniel Hackett as their offensive coordinator.
you ready?
Oh man, they took his job.
Yeah. I mean, this guy was a successful offensive coordinator previously. Uh, Head coaching job didn't go as well. So I don't know. I hope he still got it. I hope he can do well for the Jets. But honestly, as we saw, that wasn't their only problem. They will have to figure out the QB situation. Um, and then finally, San Francisco, Christian McCaffrey with a calf injury listed as questionable, did not practice Thursday. Elijah Mitchell did not practice Thursday as well. Groin injury listed as questionable. Debo ankle injury listed as questionable, was limited Thursday. That is it for the nine.
Little quick catch up on the news, and we should relish the fact that they could muster the strength to be on the field. Hey, hot dog puns. Moving along. Um, we'll go right into the divisional round review. A little later on, we're going to play a game of four downs, and of course, our host to host parlay special, likely in part two. We'll also preview the 2 games this weekend. But we'll start off Chiefs and Jaguars. The closest second, they're probably the closest of the 2 games. Because there's a tale of 2 halves really still for San Francisco and Dallas, I think. Chiefs won this one 27-20. Mahomes went down with that injury, had that ankle injury in the second quarter, beginning of the second.
Yeah.
Didn't play the rest of the second. Chad Henne took I think a drive and a half, something like that. Had 98 yards on his full drive, led to a touchdown. Did good. He's 37. He's got experience, so he did wonderful. But Travis Kelce was able to be Travis Kelce like. No harm in that. He had quite a game that's tearing apart Jacksonville's defense. They've always had problems this season containing tight ends. It's just the way it's kind of been. Pacheco, Isaiah Pacheco, great baseline for the movement on this offense. Every time they didn't exactly have, I don't know, I wouldn't say they didn't have any offensive game plan. That's a lie. It's the Chiefs. They have a game plan. But if they don't have great movement or great idea, they'll just give it to Pacheco, and he did fantastic. I feel like Jacksonville is very focused on the pass game. So I like his position going into next season, both in a fantasy sense and the real team. The only thing that can screw with that is if they decide to draft another running back. I don't see why that would be the case. He should be a top 20 running back, in my opinion, barring any split work. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's really anything that would stop him from being that person. Couple other notes. Jacksonville wasn't bad in this. Let's point that out.
Yeah.
Lawrence wasn't perfect, but he didn't let the game really get ever that miles out of hand. He didn't have to play comeback. He didn't have to panic or do anything out of the realm that he should have been. So, good for them on getting the divisional round. I mean, the offense seemed coherent, put together. They didn't have to do anything absolutely alarming, but the only thing that eventually got to them was pressure and time. That's all I really got for this. I think we knew the Chiefs would win this. And they were favored by anywhere between 7.5 and 9.5 going into this. They kind of just kept the lead right there for most of the game, but that was enough to keep me on the edge of my seat. So,
yeah, I mean, Jacksonville was definitely in this game. The only thing that the Chiefs, Mahomes is their X factor. He's getting it done with, I won't say a hodgepodge wide receiving core, but beyond Travis Kelce, he has a bunch of new names. I mean, I guess MVS isn't new, but Juju, first year with the team, Sky Moore, rookie, Kadarius Toney, Justin Watson. Anyways, if not for one interception and that fumble on the 5-yard line by Jamal Agnew, honestly, the fumble, that one hurt them much more than the interception. I don't think the interception was, maybe they were in the 40 or 30-yard area, but that fumble at the 5 really hurt them, and that could have been the tying score.
Touchdown.
Not necessarily tying at that point in time, but could have put them much closer into this.
Yeah, it was he's saying it would have been close. No, it should have been, honestly. Jacksonville had a good offense for the last 6 weeks of the year. This could have been an overtime game, and I wouldn't have been surprised. Who was second in targets behind Travis Kelce?
Without looking?
Yeah.
I mean, you would think Juju, but I'm gonna guess somebody else. Maybe Toney.
You're right. It is. Kadarius Toney, 7 targets. The only other person to have 3 or more targets. Travis Kelce had 17, in case you're curious. He caught 14 of them. Yeah, 14 of them, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. Well done. Kadarius Toney, 5 catches for 36. Jerick McKinnon, he showed up on the football field for this game. 11 carries for 25 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, 12 carries for 95 yards. Only a little different. Only a little. Mahomes was 22 for 30, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. For Jacksonville, Trevor Lawrence, 24 for 39, had a touchdown, had an interception. 217 yards. Travis Etienne, 10 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. I don't know if it was when we did the show last week or right after. I ended up looking up that I was like, who's scoring? Like, how is Kansas City allowing scores? It's on the ground over the last 6 weeks. They've allowed a 50% touchdown rate on the ground since week 14. And I was like, wow, really? And then I didn't do anything about it. I came to betting money. Um, he only had 62 yards, but he had a touchdown. He did his job. Zay Jones led Jacksonville in receiving 7 targets, had 5 catches, 83 yards. Christian Kirk had 14 targets, caught half of them, had 52 yards and a touchdown. Evan Ingram, 6 targets, 5 catches for 31 yards. Interested to see how Jacksonville handles the draft coming up. As I mentioned to you pre-show, I'm starting to turn my attention a little bit towards the draft and the offseason, which is mostly the draft. Other than right now, it's coaching changes. You're going to see the players walk off into the sunset for a little bit, and then we'll start talking about some trades and other things happening, and the draft will be right at the center of it again come, March. Next game, Giants and Eagles. It's hard to talk about this one. It was this a playoff game?
Yeah, really.
This was the only thing that I got for this is the Giants showed up to Philadelphia,
The super duper weenie wagon.
and that is how they played. They did not do well here. Like super not well in so many ways. Let me pull up the stats and make myself even more nauseous. Oh, okay. Or ESPN can just completely flop on me. Appreciate it. Shouts out to yeah. Shouts out to Grammar too. Shouts out to ESPN for having the most confusing and sometimes inoperable website. Yeah, Daniel Jones was 15 for 27 and he had 135 yards. Do you remember when the Giants went through like that 4-week streak? It's like weeks 8 to 12 roughly, where they just weren't playing football well.
Mm.
And at the heart of it was Daniel Jones not throwing for enough yards to be able to open up the run game. Does this remind you of that, or is it just me?
To a degree. I mean, so actually, now that you say that, the interesting thing is Hodgins was barely involved. And in that time, they were kind of getting him up to speed on the offense. They hadn't really, like they were still basically working with Slayton and Richie James.
Right.
And in this game, like it was all Richie James. Barkley was the next most in targets, and he only had 3. So yeah, I guess it does remind me of that time.
Like that's to the certain extent, that's kind of where I got from it. The Giants didn't seem prepared at all, and I'm not
No.
saying that in the fact like I understand that it was week 18, but they just played 2 weeks ago, 2.5 weeks ago now, but they just played 2 weeks ago, and the third string lost by 6.
Yeah.
Like the Eagles, I know the Eagles showed up in this one, but you could have at least lost by, with 22 or 24 points instead of 7. That mostly came during garbage time.
Mm.
I think. Could be wrong.
It was in the third quarter, but
I mean,
it felt like
it
it.
was starting to get to garbage time. Yeah,
Right,
it was 28-0. It was pretty much garbage
exactly.
time. It didn't seem like they had an offensive game plan. There was no diversity in the play calling. The defense didn't get after the offense. Coverage was soft, or it seemed like it.
Mm.
Eagles hardly had competition in this one. Jalen Hurts walked away. I'm surprised he played the fourth.
Yeah.
Hurts was obviously perfectly fine. Devontae Smith, the go-to receiver. Dallas Goedert showed up. Miles Sanders, much like Pacheco in the Kansas City-Jacksonville game, was the baseline for moving this offense. Big shout out to Boston Scott, who continues to get a touchdown when he plays the Giants. I messaged you the second that happened because I said I literally called it. I forgot who went down. I think it was Dallas Goedert went down on like the 4-yard line, and I literally said out loud to who I had a game night with some family, and I literally said in the middle of the game night, I was like, "Here comes the Boston Scott touchdown," and they line up, and Boston Scott is left of. Well, there's a running back left of Jalen Hurts, and I'm like, it's Boston Scott. I don't even have to look at it. It was number 35, and right up the middle. Touchdown. Okay. I should have bet money on that one. I literally, like at the end of that play, I should have hopped on FanDuel during the live bet and put that in as the Boston Scott because that had to be a plus 1,500.
Yeah.
It was so silly of me. Back in reality, the Giants have some things to figure out in the offseason. We know that. It starts with Saquon. It starts with Daniel Jones. I have opinions about Saquon that'll probably be wrong. He's a good running back. Almost said wide receiver. He's also a pretty decent one of those. But I'm not sure that they probably will re-sign him. Words have been coming out of the last couple of days that he wants somewhere in the neighborhood of 16 million a year. Giants
So do I.
right. Giants offered him 12 in the middle of the season, and he more or less turned it down. 16 million was in the neighborhood of somebody, and I forgot who it was in the comparison, and I kind of just stopped reading at that point anyway. The market value for him is somewhere around 14, so they're in the neighborhood. I don't think they should push for signing him. I'm going to say you should take a stab at Bijan. Is it scary to think so? No. A lot cheaper, similar production, less injuries. I mean, I'll make my plea when we get to our draft shows. But other than that, Daniel Jones, you sign him, probably. I don't think you have a chance in anything in the draft. I think he's also the most developed out of any of the 5 options, being the 4 quarterbacks we know about in the draft in the first round. And other than Hendon Hooker, who I don't think you're going to be much better off with. So go ahead and sign Daniel Jones. Defense needs probably some help. A little bit of a hodgepodge. The wide receiver needs some help. So spend some of that money. They have the second most cap space available going into the offseason. Next one, Bengals, Bills. Another game that was kind of, I would say this game was most comparable to sour cold cuts. It at once was really, really delicious in thought. And by the time it was all said and done, it's food poisoning. Bengals showed off in this one. I guess that's the best way to put it. Bills offense didn't really move. They never really looked comfortable. Shaky offense. A lot of 3 and outs, which I don't expect from Josh Allen. Josh Allen is half a step above Dak Prescott for me. Does that make you feel sick?
Yeah.
He really is. I mean, he's thrown for more touchdowns, he's thrown for a few more yards. But other than that, I mean,
They have had a lot of interceptions lately.
yeah, he had 13 in the same amount of games that Dak had. Dak had 16, including the playoff games. Josh Allen had 13. Dak threw for 300 more yards. Dak threw for 3 less touchdowns, I believe. So the only difference in this is that Josh Allen rushes, and it's huge. That's a huge thing for Josh Allen. That's what sells him as a great quarterback. Half the time he leads the team in rush yards. It's 50, 60, 80 yards. Buffalo was 1.8 more rush yards per game than Dallas did. I didn't know that, and then I realized Josh Allen's a rushing quarterback. Why didn't I figure that out? Even going back a couple of years, the 2 full seasons that Dak and Josh had played, Dak threw more touchdowns in 2021 and threw 600 more yards in 2019. So, they're really not that far apart. Just if you take the rushing out of it. Now, you can't. That's the problem because Josh Allen keeps drives going so much more with his legs. And that's what makes me like Josh Allen. But this wasn't a good game for Josh Allen. Wasn't really show offy. I guess we'll say that. Cincinnati secondary was prepared. They held Josh Allen in check on a lot of different. I mean, Stephon Diggs had a pretty good game. I think it's fair to say that he wasn't amazing. I guess I don't know. Is it amazing?
I mean, he had a decent amount of targets, but only caught 4 of the 10 and only got 35 yards.
He looked a lot better on the field. I didn't. Okay, yeah, he did 4 for 35 on 10 targets.
I mean,
Singletary had more yards than him. Oh, I take all of what I just said back.
that was the biggest problem was they couldn't get anyone to really help. I don't know if it was Josh or what, but they couldn't really get the ball moving. Like
I
Knox
didn't.
had the most yards, 65.
I did not realize how little yards he had comparatively to the rest of the team.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no, it's
then you add in the fact that they only had 64 yards total rushing, and Josh Allen had the most with 26. I granted this was, a very snowy game, but they just
well,
they weren't
that's
moving
the
the ball.
team. That's the team that should be good in the snow. Like
Yeah, I
you
mean, it's
are
not that Cincinnati, isn't used to cold weather, but
not cold. They can be used to cold. Snow? Snow? That's not a good excuse. Don't lay that one down. That's not great. I don't like that one. Yeah, basically, um, how do I put this? The best way that I could describe this game from the Bills, watching the Bills, it was kind of like I was sitting there, and the only thing I kept seeing was,
Okay, let's see here. Toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper.
yeah, toilet paper. It wasn't amazing. Burrow, however, was rolling 190 yards in the first half. It wasn't specific with he was not afraid to throw it to whoever. Trent Irwin had like 3 catches. That's a thing that I have to say and not vomit in my mouth. Hayden Hurst did great. Jamar Chase perfectly fine. Like 6'5" for 61 touchdown. Hayden Hurst 5 for 59 touchdown. T Higgins 3 for 28, little low, but with all the Mitchell Wilcox had a catch, but Trent Irwin only had 2 targets. Excuse me, not 3. Um, Joe Mixon had 105 yards on the ground. Buffalo, for once, couldn't stop someone running, which is impressive. They were usually very nominally good about defending the rush, and the Bills were not. I don't know whether they weren't prepared or Mixon had something up his sleeve. Good for Cincinnati. I mean, now they'll take on the Chiefs. That'll be super duper fun. Loads of fun. That game is Sunday at 6:30. I think I have that. I might have those games
yes,
backwards.
I'm double checking, but yes, that's correct.
Okay, no, I was right. So yeah. Um, Oh, let me go through the rest of the stats. Forgot about that. Josh Allen, 25 for 42, 264 yards, 1 interception, no passing touchdowns. He did have a touchdown on the ground and his 26 rush yards. We're not even going to talk about the rest of the rush game. Dawson Knox, 5 catches for 65 yards. We talked about Stephon Diggs. Singletary, 5 catches for 37. Khalil Shakir, 2 catches on 2 targets for 40 yards. I like him going forward in the next year. Good stash spot. So long, Devin Singletary. I imagine that he is going to be let go and out for some sort of greener pasture. I don't know what that entails. For Cincinnati, Burrow 23 for 36, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mixon 105 yards on the ground with a touchdown. We went over Chase and Hurst. Samaje Perine, 5 catches, 31 yards, also had 33 on the ground. This is what you. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm also like surprised because it wasn't even a game. It didn't seem like it was going to be a game at any given point past like the first quarter. Buffalo also had 8 penalties for 60 yards. The Bengals had 2 penalties for 9. So that'll help you when you're the Bengals. Other than that, they're a little bit better on third down too. But Bengals were 6 for 10. Buffalo 5 for 12. Just way more rushing first downs. It's the only other differences between the team stats. Anything else from you on this one?
The Higgins usage between the last 2 games is a little interesting. He hasn't been getting a lot of usage, but they've been, somebody else has been filling that secondary role, which is fine. It's just a little weird to me. I don't know if something's up with Higgins, if teams are ruling him out for some reason because they can't rule Chase out. I don't know. It's odd.
It's a huge problem.
Might as well be. As long as the team's winning, like I said, there's really no. I expect, obviously, going into this Chiefs game, I expect them to be a little bit more, we'll say, pass efficient.
Yeah.
And just throw. Mahomes and Burrow can both have 300 yards here, and
I
it should be
think,
like 400 to 500 for each team, in my opinion.
yeah, I think next game against the Chiefs, it's not going to be huge if Higgins isn't involved. That being said, to your point, like I don't see how he isn't with the way that the Chiefs sort of let up a lot of receptions, but or a lot of receiving yards. But if they don't get him going, if they win next week and they don't have him going into the Super Bowl, that's going to be a huge knock because both San Francisco and Philadelphia can play D.
Yes, they can. A lot more so than the Chiefs, in my opinion. Even though the Chiefs, again, have been
They've
a
stepped
little
it
bit,
up a bit.
yeah, uptick over the last few weeks. Good for Cincinnati. Last game we'll talk about 49ers and the Cowboys. Like by score, it was the juiciest game, but really, I mean, 49ers won 19-12. At one point, Dallas led 6-3. Then they were down 9-6 at the half. Dak threw 2 interceptions, which is, that's Dak. That's the way I can sum that one up. And here it comes. Ready for this one?
Okay, toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper.
The normal, right? Both of these teams were defensive minded to start this game, though. There was no red zone offense being had. There was hardly any offense the first like 7 minutes of the game. Neither one got good offensive traction. Brock Purdy Dan Quinn had them scouted very well throughout the entire game. San Francisco had scored 35 points per game since Brock Purdy took over, which was week 12, 11. I'm in that ballpark. And
I
this
think week
was
12.
and this team's held them to 19 and cut it almost in half. But at the same time, the 49ers were also just about equally as prepared for Dak. Dak threw the 2 interceptions in the first half, that was 6 points of interceptions. Both led to field goals. Points to the defense for stopping. They were both of the turnovers led to a starting position for the 49ers on Dallas' side of the field. And both times Dallas stopped him up and made him kick a field goal, which Robbie Gould doesn't miss field goals in the playoffs. And Brett Maher cannot say the same. Spoiler alert. He missed the first one again, although it was blocked.
It was blocked.
He wouldn't have made it anyway, but it was blocked. We'll save some dignity there. Dallas really only had one good drive in the first half, led to a Dalton Schultz touchdown. Other than that, it was basically relying on the defense. And in the second half, they didn't do much of anything. San Francisco's not a team you can get by. You could beat them with 12 points. It was, man, I think I posted it in our group chat, and it was the drive before it actually happened. San Francisco started with the ball, and they got clogged up on a 3-and-out to start the second half. But something about it said they're going to get going, and I posted it in the group. And I said San Francisco's they're about to start rolling. Like, it's going to happen. And Dak, very first play after Dallas gets the ball, and Dak, that was the 50-yard pass to CD from like Dallas's own 10-yard line or 5-yard line. Some monster pass to CD, and he caught it at basically midfield. I went with it. Well, he didn't go anywhere with it, but and I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, this is what you need. Like, you got to jump him on it. And immediately, that was the first down. From that point, 3-and-out. Didn't do anything with it. And then San Francisco waltzed down the field and catches a touchdown. That was actually, no, I lied. They marched down the field and they ended up getting stopped in the red zone. But the fact that they went down the field, basically 70 yards for a field goal, I was like, yep, there it is. Like, here now they have something going. See, Christian McCaffrey got rolling. George Kittle, that was the drive where Kittle had the bobble catch, which was a great catch. And after the second drive after that, CMC got the touchdown, and I'm like, well, like, here you go. Like, what are you gonna do? I think I posted in the group. I said it's time to nut up or shut up, and they did not. They did not do any of the nutting up. Two different drives for Dak to respond. Nothing. offense stumbled after Pollard left the game in the end of the second with the ankle injury, his high ankle sprain, and he needed to have surgery on a broken fibula.
Mm-hmm.
So that hurt the explosiveness. Zeke, who has recently come out in the last 2 days and said, I'll take a pay cut to stay with Dallas. And my first thought is, yeah, you will. Otherwise, you won't stay with Dallas. They're going to have to restructure his contract, free up some more space. They have $5.5 million of free cap right now. They are probably not. I expect them to not re-sign Dalton Schultz, which is crazy. But you got to find it somewhere. Donovan Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch, Malik Hooker, they all need new contracts. Those are more important, I think, to anything than anything. So I'm not impressed at all with Dak. Everything else about this team, so many good stats, and that's how you end it. Which again, I called it before they beat Tampa Bay. I was like, yeah, if they make it, they're not going to make it past first week, and they did. And I was like, oh, that's a pleasant surprise. And I said it last week. I said I can't, in all consciousness, call Tampa Bay beating Dallas, and then next week be like, oh, Dallas can take down San Francisco. No, it was San Francisco. It was San Francisco all the way. I wanted to have some faith in my team, but you can't. So yeah, I'm gonna give Dak like this one last year, and then I'm all right. Time to move on. You gotta make something happen. That's all I really got. I know.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, without those two interceptions, San Francisco is obviously down 2 field goals, so it's a 13-12 game. But Brock Purdy he didn't look the way, he wasn't playing the way we've seen him play,
Yep.
which is concerning.
No, it's not.
No,
No, not
I mean,
this. So against the Eagles, yes, I guess, because they also have good pressure. This was a good test for him, though,
yeah,
because he said it in the post game. He goes, they had good schemes. They had really good pressure getting to me and bothering me without even being in my face. He said they're a good defense, and that
Yeah.
was something to pull out. And that's a good warm up for Philadelphia, because Philadelphia's offense they don't have the Dak problem. They will go. They will score 30 on you if you're not careful.
right.
I don't think he's gonna be quite as, I'll say defenseless, but that's not the right word.
Mm.
I don't think he's gonna be quite as inexperienced against pressured defenses, similar to what, because Philly and Dallas have similar pressures, just as far as percentages go.
Yeah. I mean, my concern comes in, he's a rookie. We saw what this could do to him, and the Eagles are going to use that. And yeah, he's going to be able to use that as well to prepare. But I just don't know that it's going to be enough, unfortunately. Because, and on top of that, Christian McCaffrey being a little banged up, and this week not practicing Thursday. Granted, Elijah Mitchell also didn't practice, but Mitchell had more carries, more yards. It's a tough look ahead to see that your star running back is a little banged up, and you know, your phenom in Brock Purdy struggled a little bit, and you're going up against the essentially number one team so far this season.
Yeah. I'm going to be just because, again, on the offensive side of this, we'll talk about it when we do our preview, because we're about to take our only break of the show, and when we come back, we're going to do 4 downs, we'll do our championship round preview, and then we'll do our host Vios parlays, and then we're going to look ahead, and we'll give you guys a bit of an insight into the next roughly 2 weeks of shows, just so you guys can prepare, because there's some fun things coming down the line. To those that I've talked about the podcast too, I have not been shy about saying that there are things coming down the line that I'm very happy about. So, and Taylor is still along for the ride. So he kind of just reads what's on the show like 3 days ahead of time and prepares for it. And I'm like weeks ahead. It's kind of a good tandem at that point. It's like, yeah, like you're really prepared for this show. And I'm like 85% invested in this show and 10% in the next show and 5% the show after that. So it's all good stuff. Yeah. Oh, let me go. You know what I didn't do? Those pesky stats. I didn't do the stats for that San Francisco Dallas game, so I'll do that right now. San Francisco, 19 for 29. Brock Purdy, 214 yards. Elijah Mitchell, 14 carries, 51 on the ground. Christian McCaffrey had a rushing touchdown on 35 yards. He also had 6 catches for 22 yards. George Kittle, 5 catches for 95 yards. For Dallas, Dak, 23 for 37, 206 yards, 1 touchdown, the 2 interceptions. Zeke had 10 carries for 26 yards. Sad. CD Lamb, 10 catches, 117 yards. Dalton Schultz had 5 catches, 27 yards, and a touchdown. And then it was kind of just a big mashup. Michael Gallup put up a big, giant goose egg on 3 targets. Dak has to fix his stuff, and I think they have to find a new receiver. Not if you're going to keep Gallup, which you are because you signed him. T.Y. Hilton isn't going to be there. Draft one, find one. Actually play the one you drafted last year in Jalen Tolbert. I don't know.
Right.
Do something. You're going to need, especially if you're not signing Dalton Schultz, you're going to need another option out there. But yeah, those are the stats. Anything else from this one? Are you set?
I hope that they bring Pollard back, and it almost seems more likely now that he got injured that he won't go elsewhere, unfortunately for him. But
And Zeke taking the pay cut.
right.
Because they're
But
gonna
that was a
that'd be
huge,
stupid. Either way, that would be stupid not to restructure his deal so that you have more cap space for something else. But
yeah.
that frees you up hard time to take a run at re-signing Pollard, who, like you said, with his injury, probably isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, and he was unfortunately a big part that was missing from their game plan. He's very, explosive, and they were missing that.
Yeah. To everyone who's been absolutely critical of Dak, I understand it. But the only thing I was thinking was,
Attention, students. Today we will have an assembly on the subject of bullying. Okay.
okay. That's gonna lead to our only break. Taylor, do the thing I like so much.
We'll see y'all on the flip.
No, they're ignorant. That's ignorant.
Okay. Welcome back. Part 2. Decided to enter with a little jam. Shouts out Trey Stone, Matt Parker. If you didn't know, those are the minds behind South Park and actually a lot of stuff, but mainly South Park and Team America, World Police. So we'll start off part 2 with 4 downs because it's a lovely time for 4 downs. I don't think we've done one in like 2 weeks.
Something like
3
that,
weeks?
yeah.
Feels way too long. You want to go first? Or you want to go second?
I'll kick it off.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, as I said in pre-show, I have basically 1 per team, and it's sort of like player-ish based. So down number 1, Hertz does not run in a touchdown versus San Francisco. Down number 2, Elijah Mitchell scores a touchdown versus Philadelphia. Down number 3, Higgins, Chase, and at least one other player all score a touchdown against Kansas City. And down number 4, Kadarius Toney scores a touchdown against the Bengals.
Interesting. All touchdown based.
Yeah, I did not realize that until the end.
Right. Ooh. Man. I will put most likely. I say most likely is that. Ooh. No. lied. Yeah, most likely is Elijah Mitchell scoring a touchdown, I think. Second most likely, I'll take Tony scoring a touchdown because having three players,
Hmm.
out of the three players that Cincinnati could have scoring a touchdown, I think it's more likely that Chase would have two or Higgins would have two before there's a third player involved. But I will put that as my third option. And then I think least likely is Jalen Hurts not scoring a touchdown, rushing touchdown.
A rushing touchdown. Okay.
And that's tough because I think he will. I don't know. He's probably got like a 40%, 30 or 40% chance, but I like him more than Miles Sanders. Say that.
Yeah.
So not bad. All touchdown based.
That was before I did my parlays.
Now he's taking advice for the last parlay. My four downs. Down number one. Mahomes throws more interceptions than Burrow. Down number two. Jalen Hurts throws more interceptions than Brock Purdy. Down number three. Philadelphia has less sacks than San Francisco does. Down number four. Neither game goes over on points. Currently 47.5 for Cincinnati and Kansas City, 46.5 for San Francisco and Philadelphia. Did I have those backwards? I might have those backwards. General, 47 points for both games.
Yeah.
I was like, if that half point makes that much of a difference, I don't think we're going to come back and be like,
Um, I could definitely see San Francisco and Philadelphia going under. Cincinnati and the Chiefs. Still, 47 is a decent amount of points, but that one is more likely that it could go over. Philadelphia 6. All right. So
Eventually.
most likely, Philly less sacks than San Francisco, followed by Mahomes more interceptions than Burrow, followed by neither game going over their respective total. And then finally Hurts being least likely to have more interceptions than Purdy.
Interesting. Because I think Brock Purdy has like, what, 3 interceptions in 7 games?
Yeah.
Interesting take. Interesting.
I could see Philadelphia getting a bit of a lead, forcing Purdy to have to play a little less conservatively.
That's fair. That's fair. That is fair. I don't hate that.
And honestly, the Mahomes more interception than Burrow, I could see both of them having none or Mahomes having one. It's
Right.
not going to be a
That's fair.
huge, yeah.
That wasn't much of a. I was like, that one could go either way, and it's fair. Good stuff. Good 4 downs. That leads us directly into our championship round preview. Or whatever it is. I guess really it's only fair if I play the one. I was doing this as the test, so this will really come out in the video whether it works or it doesn't work. So we'll do it right now.
Let's get ready to rumble!
It sounds like it's from Space Jam. Now that I'm hearing that again.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, I think so because it's kind of that's where they put the two together. I feel like isn't that
okay. I wonder if it's the sound level of the clip that's causing it to go in and out because it did it again.
Oh, all right. Well, life goes on. So we'll start 49ers and Eagles. It is the afternoon game on Sunday. Philadelphia 2.5-point favorites currently. Both of these games, just a little spoiler alert, should be barn burners. Two really good defenses here. We just saw what the 49ers did to the Cowboys, stifled them. Now, Philadelphia should have a little bit of a blueprint of how to stifle Brock Purdy. I don't think 22 or 24 points is. I think that's about the ceiling for Brock and this team. It comes down to how much they can hold Philadelphia. And Philadelphia is coming off of 38 versus the Giants. AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. We all know what they do. Big game. I'd say this is more pressure on the Philadelphia defense than their offense. That'd be my take on it. Seeing what, I mean, Dallas probably should have had 19 to 25 points versus San Francisco. So there's a way to do it. But Dallas has that problem at quarterback. Philadelphia doesn't seem to have that. So what are your thoughts going into this game? Because I could go either way. I don't hate somebody taking San Francisco here. I don't hate somebody taking Philadelphia here. I've said all year Philadelphia is one of the top 2 teams in the league.
Yeah.
3, either way. The only thing that can mess up Philadelphia here, and it's the only thing that's really messed with them all year, is not having the ball, which means they have to control their turnovers. No fumbles, no interceptions.
Yeah. I mean, I touched on this before, but if McCaffrey is healthy, and not held back in any way, I like San Francisco a lot more. But what we just saw, doesn't necessarily give me the utmost confidence in San Francisco. The Eagles with Hurts back look great again. Honestly, even with Minshew, they were still able to move I guess the second game he played wasn't as good, but they still, his first game had 300 plus passing yards, so they can definitely move the ball. San Francisco's defense is going to be a problem, but with Hurts, they have that extra, X factor of running the ball, which really can open things up. I don't see them having to change their game plan too much. It's a matter of what San Francisco could do offensively. They have the rookie guy as we've talked about, so this is going to come down to San Francisco's defense keeping them in the game.
It's another defensive-based matchup where both teams will probably score a lot, and that's a crazy way of saying nobody really knows what's going to happen. Middle linebackers and the middle, well, all of the linebackers for both of these teams seem to be, I think, crucial in this matchup, more so on the San Francisco side. Azeez Al-Shahir, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, we know what they do. They're terrors for the most part, specifically Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner. The secondary for, I think the secondary in this matchup goes to the Eagles. James Bradbury, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, Darius Slay, who has had mess ups over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks, but that secondary seems very tout to me. Charvarius and Jimmy Ward, the Ward twins that aren't twins, they're not related. But they're good cornerbacks / safeties. But I put a little bit more on the Eagles side of things. The only problem is that those guys aren't guarding your problem children when it comes to San Francisco. George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell. Those will be your problem children. And then Philadelphia will have Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. And depending on where they come out of, they could be guarded multiple over. You could put 2 on one of them. Don't know if you guard middle or guard outside, but I don't have anything for this one. I'm going to enjoy watching this game. That is it. Same for the next one we'll talk about, which is,
Actually,
of course.
One last thing. I mean, if Mitchell and McCaffrey are banged up a little bit, we may see the scheme of old with Debo sort of being the gadget guy and coming. I mean, he still comes out of the back, but more of that,
It didn't really work against Dallas, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Dallas had that red pretty when he stepped in the backfield. Dallas was like, pack the box. They ain't passing. It's almost like they knew. You know what I mean? Um, he could have been used, I think, a little bit better. Not like they needed it to. They won the game, but he could have been used a little bit better in the Dallas game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you also can't stick to the playbook necessarily when you're playing the top defenses, which Philadelphia ain't far behind, if at all, behind Dallas. So they create a lot of pressure.
Right.
And everything else from that. So Ayuk too. Ayuk and Debo. I think they both were pegged for 50 yards apiece against Dallas. Be a good line to see either one of them hit or both of them hit this weekend. Bengals and Chiefs. Second game, Sunday night. I'm sorry, what? Don't know if you heard that. I think that was my dog. He wants in the bedroom. Bengals and Chiefs. Cincinnati, they were a 1-point favorite. Now it's Kansas City. I don't think it matters which way you put it. This game could be either one. Either one. Cincinnati has beaten Kansas City 3 straight times. Dating back to just before postseason last year. Now, Patrick should be a little angry. He looks like he's walking fine from his ankle injury against the Jaguars. Assuming because the line changed, that means he's playing, and it's looking more and more like that. He didn't think on Sunday night he would ever miss any of this game, so it kind of sounds like he. And I guess he woke up Monday and was feeling better than they expected him to, which is why he's not even walking with any noticeable limp. Both of these teams are like just offensive. Just go all the time. Travis Kelce, Kadarius Toney getting more involved, which is, I would say it's a tip of the cap to next year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. McCole Hardman's a free agent. MVS free agent, Juju free agent. I don't think you're bringing all of them back. I don't have our cheat sheet open for the offseason. I don't think they have a load of cap space available.
I can pull it up.
I'm doing the same right now. So
yeah. They're almost middle of the pack, 14.7 million.
Okay, so they have more than I thought. You could spend it on something, I suppose. Somebody. As far as the backfield, I expect Jerick McKinnon to get more involved. Like I said, he only had 11 carries last week, didn't catch a pass, didn't have a pass, targeted. Big change of the game plan there from what we've saw the whole every other game since week 10.
Right.
For the Bengals, Joe Mixon, backfield, Samaje Perine, change of pace. Then you have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd and Hayden Hurst. I don't know. Guns ablazing. I feel like if this is a game, I feel like this game could easily go over. Like both these teams should be in the 28 to 33 point range. I don't know their past results, which I will look up very much, but I love this game for a Sunday night football game.
Yeah. I mean, we both, spoiler alert, for our parlays are favoring Cincinnati. And for me, that's mainly because beyond Kelce and Mahomes, the weapons that they have on the Chiefs side are like new pieces, whether they're rookie or new members of the team. I misspoke earlier when I said that MVS had been with the team before. I think I was thinking of McCole Hardman for some reason, but this is his first full year with the team. So just looking at the weapons that Cincinnati has and how long they've been with the team, it's just, you can't put everything on Mahomes, or Mahomes can't put everything on himself. Granted, he will and is capable of doing that, but it's just how many times can you do that?
That's it seems like no matter how much you do it, he's successful 9 out of 10 times. Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I also misspoke when I said MVS will be a free agent. It's just McCole Hardman and Juju. And to answer my other research question, the last 3 games going back to the January 2nd, 2022 meeting, which was the first of their 3 most recent, all 3 of those games have gone over 47.5 points. And 2 of them were not even close. So actually, no, that's lie. They're exact same. They're 51, 65. Yeah. 51, 65. So I think I'll happily take the over on that game.
Dang. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, rock and roll with these 2 teams. My prediction for it, I think the Chiefs pulled this one off. I think there's something. The Bengals just came off of a good game. If they do that again, I think they'll need to do that again. Mixon, this Chiefs defense has been stepped up against the rush over the last 6 weeks, last 5 of the preseason, last 5 of the regular season. I think we mentioned a couple weeks ago. Kansas City was 8th from week 9 on in rush defense. They did very good. Yeah, why not? If you're going to do that, you're going to make Burrow chuck it. He's good at chucking it, but so is Patrick Mahomes. So, and I for some reason in this, I see Pacheco out rushing Mixon. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, especially if the Bengals end up taking a touchdown or 10-point lead at any given point. I don't think Pacheco runs it, and you just see Huck'em Chuck'em robot that is Patrick Mahomes. 2 great games, lock and load on Sunday. Like, should I play the fireworks clip again? Because I feel like we have to start talking about the fireworks here.
You don't got no lady fingers, buzz buttles, snicker bombs, church burners, finger blasters, gut busters, zippity doodahs, or crap flappers.
Right. There's
Gotta have
definitely
those crap flappers.
There's gonna be 2 sets of crap flappers on Sunday. Who are you taking out of these 2? I feel like we both are taking the same 2 teams.
Yeah. I have Philly winning and the Bengals winning.
Yeah, I took them too. And even though I like Kansas City in this one, and I have a huge feeling they're going to end up winning, I took Cincinnati on our parlays. I'm always guarding myself. So if I expect Kansas City to win and they don't, I still match you in the parlay. See how that goes? That leads us into our host v host parlays. So to countering myself, my first parlay, I have Kansas City winning by 2. San Francisco with a 4-point, given 4 points. So they're +4. Christian McCaffrey over 50 rush yards. Mahomes over 250 pass yards. And a little bit of a softball here. Travis Kelce with 40 receiving yards. It's a 5-legger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 legs. And then the Philadelphia, and I took Cincinnati -3. So I'm guarding myself. One way or another, I have a shot at one of those. So there's kind of a world where I could win one if the other loses, but I only put in 2 for this week. I'm playing a little more defensive. Taylor, you have 4, so I'm going to let you rock and roll with your house v host parlays. Lead us down the path to Taylor's thought process.
I almost went 5. I just have money line Philadelphia and Cincinnati as one parlay, followed by Devonta Smith and 50+ receiving yards. His line is 66.5. With Jamar Chase 70+ receiving yards, his line is 83.5, and Hayden Hurst anytime touchdown. Even though AJ Brown is more or less the number 1 at this point, it's become pretty clear that it's a 1A 1B situation, and Smith has been getting more looks, more yards. So I don't know if it's because people are all over AJ, or if it's just Devonta Smith kind of breaking loose because he's got that extra gear. So that's a 3-legger, and targeting the 2 teams that I see winning and the pieces that I see contributing to that. Another three-legger, Hayden Hurst, 30+ receiving yards, Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown, and Elijah Mitchell, anytime touchdown. The Elijah Mitchell part, a little sketchy, mostly because I'm banking on CMC sort of not being 100%, which is not ideal, but just going based off of the previous game and the injury news that we read off. So, like I said, not ideal, but that's my third parlay, another three-legger, and then finally finishing it off with a four-legger. CMC 50+ rushing yards. His line is 56.5. T Higgins 50+ receiving yards. His line is 56.5 as well. Travis Kelce 70+ receiving yards. His line is 77.5. And Travis Kelce anytime touchdown.
Long parlay there. I love it. Taylor trying to make a comeback. Right now, I lead. Of course, I just wrapped up the whole thing and read out who's got what for points. I have 359 host v host points. Taylor has 272. There is a world where you take the lead in this weekend. This will be obviously the last games until the Super Bowl. So, to wrap up, we will just quickly touch on what we have coming down the pipeline. This is honestly, it's one of the most exciting things that I've had to do in this show, other than obviously we do the show, we cover football, we do all the fun things. I had no idea when we started at the beginning of the season how I was going to handle this portion of the show. Basically the postseason through the draft. Obviously, the postseason is kind of copy paste as far as the regular season to a certain extent. Kind of go over the games, preview them, talk about people who are going to be good. We go through some parlay stuff. Going forward, next week, probably going to be one. Again, there's no football game next weekend, just the Pro Bowl. Pro Bowl games, a little bit more laid back football stuff on the TV. I actually am going to end up watching probably NASCAR. Does that make you sick? Doesn't for me. I'm happy to see NASCAR back.
I will say they switched it up a little bit. They're making it a little more like NBA-esque, so hopefully it'll be a little more interesting.
For NASCAR?
Yeah,
for the Pro Bowl.
For the Pro Bowl.
Oh, I was about to say yes. Okay. As for some reason I was like, what are you talking? I'm talking about NASCAR. No, the Pro Bowl does seem. I think they did it really good. I think they did that really well. I still won't pay attention to it because I don't think it matters much. But whatever. Anyway, next Thursday or Friday, I haven't figured out how I'm going to put it out. Will be part one of our two-part focus series. Is going to be the AFC focus coming first, and the NFC focus coming second. That is going to be me and Taylor going over an entire show dedicated to basically the AFC/NFC respective shows that are in the top 15 to 18 in the draft. Where they need to improve. It will be a little bit more fantasy based. So spots that could be improved for these teams on a fantasy level, places that we didn't look to during the year and said, this is not a spot I trust. Houston Texans, I'm looking at you. But we're gonna chat about it and see where that might come out to. We'll give a little bit of a combined consensus ranking as to where they can improve to and where we hope to see them going into next year. So part one will be Thursday or Friday. Part two will probably come out the following Monday. I'm thinking that would be the 7th. I think I have that date right. 6th. Calendars in my head. I'm not looking at a calendar. I'm doing it in my head. Why? Because I'm silly. Almost too silly of a goose. Really, just almost too silly of a goose. The week after that will be the Super Bowl preview show, of course, because the Super Bowl will be on the 12th. So that will probably be out on the 10th, 9th or 10th. Again, I haven't decided. We'll do the Super Bowl review show the Wednesday after. I think that is on the 15th. We are filming it, probably be out on the 16th. And then we have a special show coming on the 18th. The 18th is one I am really looking forward to. I don't want the Super Bowl or the season to be over, but man, this is a good way to kick it off. First things first, we may have a special guest with us. No promises. We're working on it. And either way, it's not going to affect whether the show happens. It will make it super fun. Super duper fun. Like super duper fun time. But we're going to do part 2 of our somewhat less early yet still kind of early mock draft. If you remember back at the end of November, beginning of December, we did our way too early mock draft. And now this is part 2 of that. And we are also going to play a special segment called Pay and Play or Drop and Shop. And it is exactly what it sounds like when it comes to the offseason and these contracts and these players that are going to be on, I'll use the baseball term, the hot stove, but going to be on the wheel of random. What happens? So that will be on the 18th. After that, we start getting into a little bit more of our focused team rebuilding, including the Magic 8-Ball show. We're going to have our mock draft shows that I just turned Taylor onto with our new tools and fun things that we will use to do that. Did that earlier tonight. And so those will be coming at the end of February into March. And we'll obviously update more when we nail some stuff down. I am super pumped for just about all of those shows. The AFC and NFC focus are going to be the next task. And then, of course, the Super Bowl shows, which I mean, how are we even going to handle that? We're going to have to like break down positions. Like it's going to be crazy for the Super Bowl. It's just going to be something different.
Halftime show betting.
Yeah, we'll take a prop bet on 36 and a half minutes over under. How long is the Super Bowl show, not including commercials?
Yeah.
How many songs does Rihanna play? How many special guests does Rihanna have? We'll
Is
include
there
it in the
a
host.
nip slip?
We'll include it in the host v host. That's what it's going to be. We'll do prop bets for each one of these, and we'll take over in them. But yeah, it'll be super interesting. Super. I've said super like 34 times in the past like 3 minutes. So, I'm excited. I don't know. I don't have anything else. Anything else you want to say about this before we cut it off for the evening? Because that's how I wanted to end the show. Give you a little bit of a preview. I don't have anything else other than some good football coming up.
Yeah, no. Solid weekend coming up before we see who makes it to the Super Bowl.
See, now I just said everything 4 weeks ahead. What did I say earlier in the show? 85% this show, 10% next show, 5% the show after. Literally, I just said everything like the next 3 weeks of shows. I asked Taylor what he's thinking. He's like, gonna be a great weekend this weekend right now.
Yep.
It's literally it. And it works the same way with shows. We are such a great tandem. Such a great tandem. But that'll do it. That's gonna wrap up a somewhat brief episode 38. Like I said, we will be back next, roughly Thursday or Friday, with the AFC Focus show. NFC Focus show coming out probably the Monday after the Pro Bowl. And then a Super Bowl preview show later on that week. So my name is Derek. I'm going to sign off right here. I'll let Taylor sign off as well. And then we'll play some Bob Barker. And then I'm going to go have some candy and go to sleep.
Peace out, y'all.
Man, a few words.
Bob Barker reminding you, help control the pet population. Have your pet spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye. Goodbye.